You already know who I am. One more again. I'm the informative representative with the objective of changing lives, saving lives, and making a difference in many people's lives. I'm constantly doing what's vital to my title of a workplace expert. You understand me? And today's message is so profound. Hit that like button again. Today's message is so profound, and I want you to listen closely because this helped me understand my role in the many different roles that I do play in this talent industry, this recruitment industry. You understand me? And the best depiction of this is a old classic movie of mine, one of my favorite movies of all times. It was called Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone. If you haven't seen that movie, definitely watch it. It's a very inspirational and motivational movie. And Sylvester Stallone, he was an arm wrestling champ. His character in this was called Hawk. His name was Hawk, and he was an arm wrestling champion. He was competing against a lot of big, strong individuals, men that was twice his size. But like Sylvester Stallone, Hawk would do is he would turn his hat to the back. And he said whenever he would turn his hat to the back, it would give him clarity. It would give him focus. It would give him determination. It would give him that fire and desire to be super competitive. And that's kind of how I look at myself. I turn my hat back, and in my mind's eyes, every time I turn my hat back like that, I'm becoming a psychologist. In this particular situation with this particular client, I had to become that psychologist. So he came to me. He said, "Hey, Tony, I know you're very good at what you do. I've been experiencing some problems." I said, "Well, tell me more about it. I want to know. What do you feel that's contributing to your anxiety in the workplace?" He said, "Well, let me break it down for you, Tony." And he broke it down to me, and it made a lot of sense. It was, contributing to the long meetings, a lot of contributing factors, you know. In totality, the reality is he was being proactive rather than reactive because he knew he had to do something about this anxiety. You understand me? And I was his solution. And we came to some real good viable solutions, and we're going to cover that in this message. But to sum up the story, the moral of the story is you gotta stay informed so you can transform, or else if you're not informed, you're gonna conform to the environment that you're in. You understand me? So if it's a crazy and chaotic environment, that's what you're gonna end up transforming and conforming to. You know what I mean? So we're gonna go over some very, very useful tips. In totality, this is the reality of really making you deal with your anxiety within the workplace. And another important tip, like I told him, I said, do you understand what do you know what is the fruit of consistency? This is what I told him in our consultation. He said, "No, Tony, I don't know what the fruit of consistency is." I said, "It's consistency. Consistency is the fruit of consistency. And consistency is a sign of maturity. And you gotta own your own anxiety in the workplace in order to get a handle on it." Okay, so that's the message for the day. Owning your own anxiety in the workplace so you can become more more productive, and definitely have that work-life balance. So that's the message for today. We're gonna dive right into it. You know what I mean? And before we even get started, let's take a little water break because you got I'll put some love in your body. Definitely show some love and put some love into your temple. So I'm gonna give me some water right now because I need some water. My mouth gets dry when I do these videos. Yes. Okay. 3 ways to own your own anxiety in the office. What's even more important than showing up to work is how you show up to work. How we show up ultimately dictates our attitude in meetings and our contribution and how we feel after the workday has come to an end. You know what I mean? And what's the point of being there if you're not actually there, or you're so anxious that it's a miserable experience? You understand me? The following 3 ways are ways you can own your anxiety in the office and make a pronounced difference in your life, both in the office and outside of it. The first one is in meetings that aren't useful. Like I said, in meetings that aren't useful. A former employee of mine had an amazing knack for ending meetings. She had a warm sternness that never offended but made other people feel that her time is super precious. Never been afraid to end a meeting that isn't helpful. So many people deal in a workplace anxiety which aggravates when a meeting goes on and on and, on and on. Obviously, you can't and you shouldn't always end meetings, but if you're feeling trapped, excuse yourself briefly and get refreshed. Go for a short walk through a hallway, splash some water on your face or on your hands and face. Take a few nose to belly breaths. Think about things that you're grateful for. Ground yourself before returning to the meeting. If you're in charge of the meeting now, speak up when it's time to conclude. Be sensitive to others who might be feeling anxious about getting back to their desk. Leadership requires mindfulness. Conclude the meeting by expressing gratitude to your team for how much we accomplished. And then let everyone know to get on with their day. You ready? Let's own our anxiety and empower our people in their own little way too. Let me take another water break. All right. Good. Got to put that love in your body. The second one. Okay, breathe before meetings. Take a deep breath. That's so important. Have you ever sat down for a meeting and felt so nervous that it was like you were the only one person in the room? Was your old friend anxiety? Heart pounding through your shirt, your sweat dripping, the dizziness, the shortness of breath. You're not alone. So many of us are right there with you. It's rough. Meetings can be unforgiving. They can cause feelings of major anxiety, panics, and general sense of get me out of here. You may even wonder whether you're about to have a heart attack right in front of your colleagues. Don't worry. The natural way to come back to calm simply by taking a moment to breathe. One of my yoga friends, instructor, he would go through great lengths to teach his students how to breathe. He taught me how sacred our breath is and how much we take it for granted. Under his guidance, I learned how to breathe. It sounds crazy because breathing is something we do naturally, but what I mean is learn how to use breath as a tool to quell your anxiety, especially like in meetings. I began sharing this technique with some of my employees at my company, and they quickly came to enjoy the practice. Take a few moments to breathe before a meeting, and we'll set up not only to own your anxiety, but also to deliver your best at the meeting. In addition to breathing before the meeting, I also suggest visualizing in advance the results you want for the meeting, using positive and strengthening affirmations that will make you feel confident. Arrive 15 minutes early. Giving gratitude before is good too as well. Arrive 15 minutes. Be 15 minutes prior to the meeting. Like they taught me that in the Marine Corps. Be 15 minutes prior to 15. So arrive so you can practice all this prior to the meeting. The third, manage your breaks. You understand me? Manage your breaks. Are you mindful of what you're doing or not on your break? A break from work or any other responsibilities is so important. When we don't take a break, we exhaust ourselves. Anxiety comes knocking shortly after. Let me give you an example. Just the other day, I was at Starbucks coffee shop, and at the table across from me, a woman sat down. She had an espresso, and when she literally slammed back this espresso in two sips, and then she proceeded feverishly to type away on her phone. When her legs was shaking convulsively, 15 minutes later, this woman looked far more anxious than when she had left the coffee shop, than when she had arrived. Was that her break? Beside me was a man sitting with a gigantic latte. His head was down in his coffee, and then his head was on his phone. He grunted under his breath, and then his phone rang. And he answered. He said, "Hello, Tom Rogers here. Oh, yes, let me write that down. Hang on. I'm going to type that in my phone as I put you on speaker. It's a little loud in here. Sorry, can you speak up?" "Speak up," I said. He shouted this last part, and I watched his knees start to shake up and down, up and down. A few moments later, he ended the call and chugged the latte and rushed out of the coffee shop. Do you see, both these people didn't really break effectively. All they was exchanging is anxiety, provoking anxiety for another. To make it even worse, they were consuming caffeine, which can also increase anxiety. If we don't think about how we take our breaks, we may eventually break. Tune into yourself. What does your body or mind want most right now? You know what I mean? If you want to feel invigorated, go for a walk. If you want to feel centered and calm, close your eyes and meditate. If you want to feel energized, do some push-ups or some jumping jacks. And if you want a charge of energy, opt for a shot of ginger instead of caffeine. If you're hungry, eat a healthy snack like a green apple, not something full of processed sugar or a ton of heavy carbs. And if you need a break from reality and escape, read something that takes you away. Tune out the world. There is no reason to be hooked up on a screen during your break. Why go from a laptop screen to your mobile screen? Put your cell on silent, disconnect for a few minutes, and you've earned it. Treat yourself. Don't cheat yourself. I've also suggested giving yourself at least 3 deep, intentional breaths of gratitude on your break. You have so much to be grateful in life, I tell you. You understand me? So practice gratitude. You know what I mean? A break is a perfect time to remind yourself of that. And the more intentional we are about our breaks, the less chances there are we'll even break. If after these above tips and you're still experiencing anxiety at your workplace, you may want to consider a change. Talk to a third-party recruiting firm like my company, RNA Search Inc., for example. In conclusion, these are the 3 ways to own your anxiety at work. This uncommon information can bring restoration to your situation. I hope you never want as long as you live, and you live as long as you want. And I really love you guys. You have a fabulous day.